Have you ever wanted to start something, but you find ways to put it off, or something happens and stops you from doing it? Well, for me, starting a podcast and a YouTube channel took a long time. I'd been wanting to do it, but it just took a while. And today's podcast will be a little bit different. No guests, just solo. And we'll get back to some epic guests next week. But today, I thought I'd be vulnerable and share with you a hidden episode, a solo episode that was supposed to be the intro video before the first podcast with a guest. And no, I didn't even record it at the time. I just laid it out and what the episode would be about and what the intro would be like for the podcast. But for one reason or another, I didn't make the video because I didn't think people would care and would see any value in it. Now that I've had a bit more time with guests and making videos, I realize it's better to put things out there regardless of what people might think, because if it does inspire or it helps one other person, then that in itself would be a good enough reason, right? And if it helps me improve or grow, and then that is a win-win situation. So as the podcast description goes, it's all about unfiltered stories of entrepreneurs. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is the Entrepreneur Unplugged. So you hear it all the time. You got to stop caring about what other people think, especially if you're wanting to, build a personal brand or grow your business or create content. It's probably the best advice that you can get. And I can tell you from experience, it's not that easy to overcome. So, this is really the first official video that introduces my YouTube channel and also podcasts. Now, I've been watching some videos from a few influencers on what their first videos were like, and inspired me to share with you a little bit of the backstory in creating this podcast and this YouTube channel, and more importantly, the challenges that I had getting to this point. And the hope of this is to do a couple of things, which is to be able to inspire you to go and do things that you want to do, and to get outside my comfort zone and be a little bit vulnerable. This is something I'm working on doing because I know it's a source of procrastination. But here we are, and I'm excited to share with you how this podcast came about, and I guess in some way what this YouTube channel is going to be about. And talking solo like this into a camera is a challenge for me, but the more I do it, the easier it gets. And I figure it's just like anything you do and to become competent at, the more you do it, the easier it gets. So since June 2021, I've had an online business called Setters and Closers, which is a recruitment and sales management agency working mainly with online entrepreneurs, coaches, course creators, agencies. And that business has grown organically. And the only reason it's grown is because of content that I put out there, which was mainly on Facebook. I've got a good audience there. And as I put more content out, it's gotten better and definitely a lot more on point. But doing video content has never been that easy. I don't know what it is about talking into a camera, but it doesn't come naturally to me. And I know the more I do it, just the more comfortable I get, or, I just increase my level of uncomfortableness, if that makes sense. So when I was thinking about ways to expand my content, I thought the best place to get videos out there is YouTube. And this was the plan in July 2022. Then it didn't happen. I didn't make it a priority because I didn't need to get on YouTube. Business was good. I didn't need to get more clients. So the intention and the why behind it wasn't so clear. But in my mind, there was very good reason to do it. Lots of benefit of building my personal brand on evergreen and searchable platform. But what will people think? Blah, blah, blah. The old self-doubt kicks in, and I guess that sort of halted the plan. Have you ever had that moment where maybe some self-doubt or insecurity kicks in, and all of a sudden your attention goes to something else that takes you away from the original idea that you wanted? So that happened to me a few times. I'd say I'd do something but don't, and all of a sudden, got busy with day-to-day life. But this thing kept on my mind, so I tried to find ways to help me launch the channel. And I thought the best thing to do to get on YouTube was to start a video podcast. I like interviewing people, and I feel more natural talking with someone else on the other end of a video, actually interacting with me. So in August last year, 2022, I announced that I was going to launch a podcast. Now, obviously, that didn't happen if you've been following, and it's been a long road, lots of thinking, lots of procrastinating, trying to get things perfect. And as the saying goes, done is better than perfect. Well, the podcast officially launched this February 2023. The first episode was actually 2 days late when I said it was going to go up. Again, a bit of self doubt and just being a little bit disorganized. But I'm glad that I finally did it. And you see, my aim for this podcast is to have a library of really good insight from online entrepreneurs and top performers in the industry to show you what it's really like to be in business. I wanted the truth, the struggles, the wins, the processes that they go through, the way of thinking, how they work through problems. And the reason I've chosen to do a video podcast was actually to help me kickstart my YouTube journey, to then be able to share the entrepreneurial side of things and to show you the process of actually building something from a realistic perspective. Not all is as it seems. So, I'm sharing this video as a reminder of how far I've come, and also to be able to look back 6 months later to see the improvement that I've had. So I've got some massive projects coming up as I transition into a new venture outside of my business as an investor in the coming months. So I'm keen to share with you what that process looks like, and also to share with you the process that took my business to about 400,000 a year, around 60% profit. And there's a lot of stuff to share on that. And also, obviously, the people that I meet along the way. And I don't do this to sell you anything, but to be more of a place of information. And I know that if I do that for you, that you probably want to organically reach out to me anyway. So with that said, the podcast itself is going to serve me really well because I'll get to ask guests some questions that I'm really curious about, genuinely connecting with them on a vulnerable level. And I think you'll see that in each episode. And the more realistic you get to see the journey, the more you'll see, everyone's the same. They all work with the same tools. And I've actually done quite a few videos now, and it's always been hard. Like for me, I've taken courses on how to get better on camera, and it's helped, but the best teacher is still in the doing. So with all that said, like, what are the 3 lessons maybe to take away from, this episode and what I'm talking about? I think number one, you have to stop worrying about what other people think. The reality is that everyone doesn't care enough to think about you. They've got their own problems to worry about. Number 2, you've got to start even if you don't feel ready. I didn't feel ready 6 months ago. I didn't feel ready in February when I launched the podcast, but you just have to do it anyway. Otherwise, you lose a lot of time and money. But number 3 is doing is better than thinking. Doing something is the fastest way to get better. It's as simple as that. So if you want to hear about how online businesses grow, how to get good, at sales, learn about entrepreneur struggles and how they overcome it, then this channel will be great for you. And if you're watching this up until this point, I appreciate you, and I look forward to watching this back at some point myself and see how far along we've come. And I guess, that's it for now. And, I'll see you back next week with new podcast guests each Friday. I'm excited to share more of the journey. This has been a great video for me to share. I hope you got something out of it, and I will see you soon.